I've got 3 stats that indicate huge opportunity for consumers through the summer. You're definitely going to want to watch this one. You have to be careful when you watch the news because all these pundits out there, all these experts, they tend to paint a very negative picture. We've talked about this before. I've got 3 stats you want to be mindful of here, and then we're going to talk about how that demonstrates some serious opportunity for people thinking about buying or selling a home in the next 6 months. So number 1, JP Morgan reported this week that their mortgage origination volume is down 11% from the previous quarter. Secondly, Wells Fargo reported that their credit card income is higher than their mortgage income right now, the mortgage revenue that they saw in the second quarter of 2022. The credit card revenue makes up 15.3% of the company's entire revenue, and mortgage revenue only makes up 11.4%. And that's the first time that's happened in Wells Fargo in quite a bit of time. And last week on the show, we talked about how buyers canceled contracts at the highest rate since March of 2020 and April of 2020 last month in June. So you hear all this stuff happening, and it sounds like purchasers are getting some cold feet. Buyers are getting a little nervous, and that's normal when there's talk of an economic slowdown. Here's what I know. This is not a bubble bursting. It's the market decelerating. We were going about 150 miles an hour down the road in the real estate market the past 2 years, and now we've slowed down to 90 miles an hour, and let's face it, it feels a lot slower, and 90 miles an hour down the road is still really fast. So what these things tell me, along with mortgage rates kind of dancing around a little bit the past 2-3 weeks, is that if you're thinking about selling a home right now, there might be an opportunity to get a buyer to take advantage of this mortgage rate sort of fluctuation because lenders are ready to make a deal right now. The reason rates drop is that mortgage origination was down and they want more purchase mortgages coming in. The refi market is non-existent because rates have gone up past that 2.875, 3.5% range. So as a result, what's happened is banks are now really competitive. So that's number 1. And because of that, when rates drop down a little bit, even below 6%, that makes a big difference on some of these home purchases and the monthly payment that buyers are locking in. So home sellers should be pretty mindful of this because they're going to be dealing with more contingencies. You want the buyer that's still going to be willing to pay the maximum price. And I'd be looking at getting my home on the market now versus even waiting until the fall because inventory's still really low, and that's a huge opportunity for home sellers. Now, if I'm a buyer, I'm looking at this and saying, hey, the rest of the buyers are a little squirrely right now. They're blowing out of deals at a high rate. Banks want my business. And those 3 things mean they could get into a home where they weren't able to even 3 to 6 months ago. So there's an opportunity for buyers to get into a home before the end of the summer, get into the home early fall before everyone else comes back from vacation. They come back to the market and there's more buyer demand happening. When you see these numbers happen, you want to be the person that buys when nobody else does. That's what Warren Buffett says. You don't want to be buying when everyone does because that indicates there's something going on in the marketplace and it kind of cancels out any market conditions you can leverage. So all this data tells me is that there's a window of opportunity here to transact and get a little bit of a lower rate or get a buyer who's willing to pay a little more because the rates have adjusted a little bit, especially with the upcoming Federal Reserve meeting. Questions, concerns, specifics, get a local opinion on your situation. Feel free to reach out to us and we'll give it to you exactly as you need to hear it. You're definitely going to want to watch this one.